Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Please let me know if there is an interruption and you couldn't hear. Please remind me, because sometimes because of the logistic and this internet interruption. So please remind me if you couldn't get the this lecture properly. And also, Mr. Gary, if in case there is an interruption in the lecture, please remind me through my WhatsApp so that I will immediately take note of it, inshallah. So, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Are you all with me now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Professor.
Yes.
Okay. Today I'm going to specifically discuss on the current issues of Islamic social finance. As we know that Islamic finance is different from what we are going to specialize on Islamic social finance. There are some misconception about the Islamic social finance, which are defined, or this generalized with Islamic finance. So that is wrong, because not all Islamic financial components can support the socio-economic the establishment or the development. So that's why, because of not all categories of funds can support the Islamic social finance engineering. So that's why we have to be focused on Islamic social finance. This is one of the components of Islamic finance. So now the issue here, there are five contemporary issues are haunting the minds of the global market in Islamic social finance. First is the emergence of in Islamic social finance. Is there any emergence, or it is just a mere initiative, or it is just a mere components of Islamic finance? So to my understanding, Islamic social finance is a global icon. Actually, it is one of the global prime concern actually today, especially when you talk about COVID, the effects of the COVID. Now this is the time that Islamic social finance will play a greater role. Therefore, the emergence of Islamic social finance is one of the global prime concern today. Now, what are the rationalities actually? What are the core objective or the core significant results that we can expect from the Islamic social finance? Is the among others is to create an enterprising and entrepreneur-based nations. I mean, this Islamic social finance is not like lending and borrowing, but it is a component which will enable the society, all levels of the society, either zero income, low income, middle income, rich people also. So they will be encouraged, motivated to be enterprised, and they will be also have the skill or the some sort of motivation, to how to be an entrepreneur and self-reliant, that I'm going to discuss later on. What are the tools that also establish that this is an emerging factor or the chapter of global economy, and it has the power in creating the enterprising and entrepreneur-based nation, okay, with no compromise. So now what are the tools behind that can support this particular mission, okay, of Islamic social finance? Is traditionally we know zakat, awqaf, sadaqah, hiba, maniya, crowd fund, and so on, these cooperative funds. But there are many other funds, hidden funds. To my conclusion, actually, that if we properly and efficiently or effectively manage the available Islamic, the Sharia justified social funds, that will resolve the global economic crisis. And I will discuss further later on. So this particular the components is not being highlighted or discussed thoroughly actually. That's why there is a confusion that zakat, awqaf can only satisfy the special group, the poor, destitute, and so on. It is wrong concept. We do not have the proper structure, proper policy, proper strategies, how to manage those social funds actually. So now, then what are the mechanisms? Once we identify the funds, what are the mechanisms that we need to adopt in order for us to benefit out of the designed or the modeled Islamic social fund? Number one is the policy, public and private sectors initiatives, action plan, effective strategies, cooperation, technical know-how, and R&D. All those aspects, that mechanism, that they are the pillars of the driving force of Islamic social finance, unfortunately are in a very limited stage actually, or poor stage rather actually, So that's why these are the core concern among others that we need to emphasize, we need to focus on in order for us to benefit out of the model of Islamic social finance in reality. Now the last is the issue here. What are the impacts then? Impacts here, generally impacts here the socio-economic stability within the spirit of fair distribution and sharing and caring concern. So these are the nutshell of Islamic social finance, but we are treating, in some extent, we are treating the Islamic social finance as a component of charitable satisfaction only. Actually, it is not. It's from public, private to public, public to NGO, non-government organization, and global in all levels. The Islamic social finance can play a role in to stabilize the global economy, especially affected by the COVID. Now, the mind mapping here, what I mean actually, how does Islamic social finance contribute to achievable socio-economy? Okay, so now here we have about 10 components here I have identified. Number one, what are the spirit or the strength being or the contribution can be made by the efficient Islamic social finance outlined here. The economic strength means there will be an economic strength in all level, particularly the low income and zero income group. Okay, self-reliant. Through the Islamic social finance, the application, we can create a society with self-reliance to say goodbye to the beggars or the poor or the destitute or the helpless people. So this is another driving force which can ensure the society in all levels of society, especially the helpless society, to be a self-reliant economically, a skilled nation. Through the Islamic social finance model that I have outlined after I'm going to discuss also, whereby it is not simply giving a charity or the donation. It is not like that. The objective of Islamic social finance is to create a helping hand. Okay, is to help the unfortunate people or helpless people or the society. Okay, and they will be self-reliant. They will be the self-responsible. Okay, and matured with skills and responsibilities and so on. So that is what I mean, the skilled nation. Next is the just economy in reality. It will also create an atmosphere of just distribution. Okay, not like socialism or capitalism or some let the poor remain poor. Okay, it is not like that. It is just like we share the cake, we share the economy, we share the wealth with all fellow mankind. Creating and sharing atmosphere, the caring and sharing atmosphere, that is what I mentioned earlier, that Islamic social finance create an atmosphere with caring and sharing with poor, destitute, helpless, and so on. But when we talk about finance in general, whereby it is a commercial objective, we don't care whether poor can achieve something or not. It is not the concern. Concern here is how to make profit, how to gain something. But in this Islamic social finance is how to help others, caring about others, sharing with others. And then the next is the world eco peace by diminishing eco crisis. Whatever economic crisis in the world that haunting, this debt-based economy, and then the this capitalism and so on, so now in the Islamic social finance, if it is being properly managed and properly structured, it will resolve the issue of crisis, the eco crisis, and it will also contribute to the world eco peace, inshallah. Then it will also ensure the green environment, because of there are a lot of projects are coming and then the developed through the Islamic social financing. Like in Indonesia, recently there is a standard guidelines established by, I think, the Central Bank of Indonesia, whereby they are coming up with a good regulatory frameworks, okay, on green finance or green sukuk. So this is another way that we can ensure the green environment, happy environment, agro-based, this agro sectors will be enriched economically, So these are the advantages. Next is the innovative culture. So this Islamic social finance will create an innovative culture among all, okay? Innovation, motivated environment, and mature environment. Next is the mature and responsible society, as I mentioned, and also building quality life, family, and society. So now, in other words, Islamic social finance also ensure a balanced society. Not like a poor will remain as the poor, and rich will be rich, and that will open the door of corruption. Corruption. So the many politicians, many businessmen, many specific group of the society who will be rich, who will have the opportunity to involve in the corruption and all that. But through the Islamic social finance, this will ensure a balanced society. Okay, now impact-oriented objective. There are few objectives that I have outlined. Among others is the religious objectives and socio-economic objective, commercial objective, and humanity. There's a distribution, as I mentioned earlier, that there are co-objectives in Islamic social finance. Is not like to gain commercially only, but it is an integrated components whereby religious, the socio-economic, the commercial, humanity, all the core components will be achieved actually through the Islamic social finance implementation, provided that it is properly structured and properly applied. Now, current issues, there are about 7 current issues. There are many issues, but these are the core issues that I have identified here, and we need to focus on those current issues in order for Islamic finance to be implemented and to enable it to benefit the humanity across the world.
I'm sorry, Professor. I need to interrupt you for a moment. I think you forget to share the screen of yours.
But I have, in fact, I have some problem here. I don't know what happened. I could not share the screen, and I sent the PowerPoint to Mr. Gary to distribute all participants.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much, sir.
Something the technical problem here. Have you received it? Yes.
Can you see it now, sir?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Okay then. Thank you very much, sir.
Page
Sorry
number
for the
5. Page number 5, Mr. Fahmi. Page number 5 from your side. Okay, then page number 5, current issues surrounding ISF. Next page. Okay. Thank you very much. So now these funds we have, I can't give you the statistics now, but there are about 800 billion worth. The land property itself is abundant. Actually, it is not utilized. So this is one of this the data, and there are many other information actually. So what happened? We do not have proper statistics. We do not have the proper data. How much wealth, or the this wealth, either it could be the cash or the land or the other form of properties, okay, abundant or available, okay, available, which are not utilized for any beneficial purpose. It could be private wealth or could be public wealth. So this is this is one of the concern or the issue that need to be highlighted, and we will discuss later on, inshallah. So there are huge, where is the fund actually? There are huge funds, okay, and it is a public level and also the private level. Now the policies, is there any enough policy or the adequate policy, efficient policy to govern the Islamic social finance today? Answer is no. We do not have the efficient or the what do you call this adequate laws standard or guidelines yet. Just based on subsidiary legislation, probably some rules, some regulation. This is not standard even. Some policies, but in Indonesia, I believe they have come up with quite a number of Basnas came up with quite a number of regulatory frameworks, guidelines. But at the government level, we do not have the law yet. In many countries, among the OIC's 57 countries, if we can finger tip, I think that 1 or 2 countries having some regulatory frameworks, but not passed by the parliament, no any parliamentary legislation yet. So these are the lacking part. Next issue here is there any strategies or the structure, proper structure in order to benefit from Islamic social finance? Answer is no. We do not have the proper structure yet. Just in maybe very limited, very minimum level, there are some structures, but not in a comprehensive level or the impact-oriented level yet. Next is the government support. Now, do we have the government support from all over the Muslim countries? No. Answer is no. Only some countries who have this consent. Let's say Indonesia, we have a good government is supporting very well. There are some other countries also supporting very well. Malaysia, Turkey, they are supporting. But there are many Muslim countries who are not even aware what is Islamic social finance, how to manage it, how to structure it, how to implement, and how to get the benefit out of it. They are still in the infancy stage. And then the next issue is we have a lot of projects, underlying projects under the finance by the Islamic social finance structure, but there are many risks awaiting this against the projects. But we do not have any risk management or risk the plan actually. So now here the Takaful scheme is the good solution to those kind of risks in Islamic finance related the projects and the plan. Now, is there any awareness, public awareness? We can just assume that even 10% of the world population, of the Muslim population in particular, not aware about what is Islamic social finance all about. Therefore, it can be resolved easily by media and training activities. And many countries are doing, like Indonesia, Malaysia, Turkey, and some other countries are doing, but it's a minimum level. We need to really focus on this in order to make public awareness, so that this will help the Islamic finance and move forward with towards the successful results. And technical know-how, this one is a very minimum. Even if you discuss with the bankers or those who are talking about Islamic social finance conceptually, they do not have the proper idea or skill yet how to structure what is technical know-how in Islamic social finance. That is very complicated on, and that's why it is important for those who are the initiator focus on technical know-how actually of Islamic finance, social finance structure, and so on. So these are the issues that being the haunting today in the contemporary the world as far as the Islamic social finance is concerned. We have the conceptual frameworks, fine, but we do not have neither structural nor policy-wise nor other sentimental issues are not available yet. That's why those aspects are very important for us to really facilitate Islamic social finance model to go further and achieve its impact results. Next is the effective tools driving ISF, Islamic social finance. zakat, ushur, awaqaf, property, tabarruat, hiba, kafara. And I will be discussing also one of the component that I am adding two components here. The others we know already, but global SSI is the sales, service, and income. This is one of the component that I design, and I have the exclusive model on that actually, whereby we are talking about a scholarship, we are talking about the poor, destitute, they do not have food, and so on. If any government, I believe Dr. Irfan Shaugi is in this forum, I believe he will take note. Probably he is taking a lot of initiative. Probably this is one of the components that if we can design the structure of global SSI, sales, service, and income, and if we can convince the government that any form of sales, purchase, service, or income, just 0.1% or to 1% only to be deducted and will be reserved in a special fund, that's a special security fund or a special a special security fund, and that particular fund can be dedicated for the education. I mean, if we really can have this particular, I have a calculation, in 5 to 7 years time, we can declare the 100% free education of the nation through this particular mechanism. I have the calculation. So this is one of the mechanisms that be part of the social finance, whereby we do not care about it. We just only focus on zakat and we give charity and so on, awqaf and so on. But there are many other components of Islamic social finance that if we can discover and structure, I think this will contribute significantly to the economic well-being of the world actually. And then the last is the doubtful fund assets. Here, a lot of abundant funds. There are many funds, sanctioned funds, for example, in the banks and here and there. The many properties where we do not have the owner actually, abundant wealth. So those are the doubtful funds or the assets. If we identify, there are billions or maybe trillions of dollars of funds and assets available in the world, but we do not have any initiative or policy or strategy how to discover those, how to identify, and we structure. And there should be a cooperation. I will discuss later on also cooperation between the government, the partnership, public sector, private sector, and also the other player sectors actually. So this I will discuss later, inshallah. Now, zakat fund, individual, corporate, ushur, and so on, individual, corporate, and awqaf here. We have individual awqaf, family, social, corporate, NGO, and government, different categories of awqaf. Now, we have perpetual awqaf, that is what we know very well, but temporary awqaf, this is the only on components of awqaf that also can significantly contribute to the global economic well-being. The temporary awqaf, whereby it is also termed in our area, in let's say Malaysia, in Singapore, Indonesia, maniha, okay, temporary awqaf, and here we call waqf muaqqat, temporary awqaf, whereby there are a lot of properties are available: gold, diamond, the cash, building, property, land, plants, estate, technology, other legitimate, many wealth actually abundant or kept in the bank but not utilized. If in case there is a provision that those properties or wealth, without keeping them waiting somewhere in the bank or any treasury or somewhere the safe custody, why not we allow with the terms and conditional agreement, allow those particular wealth to be utilized, land or the building utilized, and whatever benefit being earned or the gain out of this particular property will be used for the charitable purposes or the humanitarian causes, various causes. So now, after the specific time, the time or the period is over, then the principal asset will be returned back to the owner. So this is another way that if we really strategically plan, I think it is also a great contribution to the world humanity, and it is one of the potential components of Islamic social finance. Now, the Waqf-led sukuk, that's sukuk al-Waqaf, sukuk al-Intifa, led by Waqaf, SRI, the green sukuk, led by Waqaf, cooperative micro sukuk, and so on. So I have outlined here different categories of sukuk. The last one is the work tech. Here I mean the through blockchain technology. Okay. So these are the categories of awqaf. If we can really properly structure and manage, I think this is also a greater the contribution to the humanity, and that will be part of the Islamic social finance. Like one of the component here, like sukuk al-intifa led by awqaf. You know, in Saudi Arabia, like King Abdulaziz Endowment Fund and many other projects are being developed through this particular structure. So that's why we can develop many the schools, colleges, universities, and many other public institutions we can establish through this kind of cooperation by the issuance of sukuk al-intifa, sukuk al-awqaf, the SRI green sukuk, and so on. So this we do not need. This the social finance also diminish the culture of the debt-based economy. People will be self-reliant, and this is going to establish and strengthen the cooperative or the cooperation among all levels of people, public, private, and industrial, and also the poor, rich, educated, non-educated. All levels of people will establish or enjoy through the spirit of the principles of cooperation. Then the next year, I have some special scheme that Edu Wakaf, Health Wakaf, through all those components. I mean, the education, healthcare, shelter, consumption, community development, professional development, all those. No, we do not need any grant. We have in conventional, we have the what do you call this CSR, but we can really establish this particular Wakaf model whereby there will be cooperation, and all the sectors we can develop through the issuance or through the what do you call this structure of Waqf. Okay, now tabarruat, the same thing. The different levels of tabarruat can be, and hiba fund, kafara garama. It is also the from all levels, and then the kafara and garama is subjective. It is a percentage subjective. Yeah. Now, this, as I mentioned earlier, global SSI. This one, as we can remember, in Malaysia a couple of years ago, sales services and something like that. We have imposed about 5% tax, and now no more. In Saudi Arabia, we have now 15% tax. Okay, so now it is on sale. Every sale or every purchase, there will be tax. Okay, now what we can do, that is of course that is the government ruling, and people are paying it. Okay, they have no choice, they are paying it. Now what happened if all Muslim countries, they can come up with the policy, the government policy, whereby any form of sale, service, or income, it is subject to deduction of only 0.1%. Not 15% or 5%, just 0.1% to 1% only. So imagine if we calculate this kind of deduction, if we have that kind of cooperation, and nobody will question, even the taxi driver also will not, drain cleaner also will not question, because this fund will go for the holistic purposes, and we will identify some components like education sector, this healthcare, shelter, food, and then the road, bridges, this and other public sectors, we identify, and we will use this particular fund to help those particular sectors, and this is going to be huge fund, and this fund even can be commercialized on securitization basis. There will not be any diminishing or any form of this loss or damage in this particular fund if we can structure on like securitization based, and this particular fund can help those the education sector and other sector that I mentioned, the core sector that being desired by the society and all levels of people from the government. But unfortunately, almost 90% government of the world, they fail to satisfy the low income group and the zero income group with this kind of need and necessity. There are many brilliant children, born in the very poor family, destitute family, but unfortunately they do not have the financial support, they do not have any government support. That's why they could not go further with education, and that is a great loss of the society, of the country. That's why this is another initiative that can be initiated by the public sector, private sector, domestic sector, and it is going to be a cooperation and shall be ruled out by the government. And this can resolve those kind of sector that I mentioned, the core sectors. Doubtful funds here, you may question, but later on you can raise further question. What I mean, actually, there are legally uncleaned funds, assets. There are many funds or assets or property, lands, which are not clean. We don't know whether it is a river based or there's some maybe it is maybe the left by somebody, or this place was last time was maybe the something like which is not Sharia justified activities, and so on. So those kind of the unclean funds or the asset or the property, they are abandoned. So now, why not the government take note of those kind of abandoned or doubtful funds and assets or the wealth and commercialize or the structure properly, so that can be a beneficial for the society. It can be commercialized, whatever it is. And then the frozen funds, assets in many banks and many the organization whereby there is a frozen funds, assets, sanctioned funds, non-Sharia compliance fund, unclaimed fund, abandoned fund, unclaimed. There are maybe the hundreds of years, no family, nobody claimed the land, no property. So those kind of the lands or the property just left uncultivated, unused. So this is what I have identified here: caveat funds and so on, legally questioned funds and so on. So those kind of funds, even though there are many people who reserve the money or keep the money in the banks or the gold or diamond, the tons and tons, but they are scared of claiming because of they could be questioned on declaration or whatever it is, But then what happened to the bank? What happened to the institution? What happened to the government? They are keeping those assets unused. So now, can those are the assets be used temporarily with temporary effect until there is a legal ruling out? So that within this particular period, those are the assets on securitization basis can be utilized, and the benefit can be distributed or distributed for the social purposes. So this is what I mean, the doubtful fund or assets. Now, the strategic mechanism, there are 12 mechanisms. 12 mechanisms for the success of Islamic social finance. Is the partnership. Partnership, as I mentioned earlier, there should be a partnership, cooperation, understanding among the government, NGOs, and private sectors, individual, and so on. And there should be a policy and guidelines. Policy and guidelines are utmost important. Without policy and guidelines, the success is uncertain. Then or challenged. The country SSB, Sharia Supervisory Board, since it is an Islamic fund, there should be a strict Sharia supervisory body who will supervise to ensure that the fund collected or fund is managed, it's properly operated or managed within the Sharia principles or maqasid the Sharia. Then the identification of funds, as I have mentioned to you earlier, zakat, awqaf, tabarruat, and so on. Institutional formalization. This institutional formalization here, I mean, once we identify the fund like CSR and so on, right? But zakat and so on. So now what happened? There should be an institutional understanding. How many % of their zakat fund or the CSR fund, whatever it is, will be given to this ISF fund, for the humanitarian causes. So there should be an understanding. It's called the treaty or covenant, whatever it is actually. Then the next is the collection. There will be the smart system of collection of the fund, agreed fund, identification. Then after collection of the fund, there should be an identification of the sectors. What are the sectors that we can develop or focus on? It could be food, could be helping hand, could be the other infrastructure, whatever it is. Then the project and scheme plan. There should be strategic plan Okay, after identification, there should be strategic plan, and then there should be feasibility study, then screening and decision, that is implementation. There should be proper implementation of whatever fund is collected and for what purpose. It has to be properly spelled out, and there should be proper the matured or the this efficient management. Then whatever benefit gain out of this particular projects, then those benefits will be distributed according to the policy that being established based on the policy and the planning. And there should be a follow-up and report. Unfortunately, in the world, we have the Islamic Social Fund, but in many cases, many countries, they do not follow this kind of mechanism. That's why they are jumbled up. They are confused. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to report it. They don't know how to explain to the government or the right authorities. So there are many countries whereby, I don't want to mention, many countries whereby Islamic Social Fund, other social fund are being misused and abused. Because we do not have the proper mechanisms. Okay, next. Now the challenges. There are 13 challenges ahead. The lack of awareness, as I mentioned earlier also, and I'll emphasize here, lack of confidence. Why lack of confidence? Because of the public in general, they do not have the confidence yet to pump in, to segregate, to contribute to the Islamic Social Fund, crowdfunding, whatever it is, they do not have enough confidence because we do not have the proper policy guidelines and also the structure, so that is the reason why we do not have enough confidence yet. In order for us to gain the confidence, we need to have the proper mechanisms and platform. Traditional mindset, most of the people are having a traditional mindset whereby they are not aware about the impact of Islamic social finance. Sharia scholars, many Sharia scholars are still within this box of fatwa, haram or halal, this kind of queries and confusion. But there are many scholars, of course, they rationally understand and they come up with positive support. But there are many scholars who are still within the traditional mindset, and they do not want to wake up with how to come up with the impact-oriented benefit out of zakat, out of awqaf, and other components. So these are the issues actually. Now, regulatory authorities, we have regulatory authorities, but not identified regulatory authorities yet because they are still confused. Government, we do not have enough government supports in many countries of the world, and lack of policies, guidelines, I mentioned earlier, inefficient skilled management. In even some countries who are managing the zakat and awqaf, they do not have, there are a lot of complaints. They are not well and they are not skilled managers. They don't know how to deal with the people. They don't know how to manage the fund properly, efficiently. They do not have to. There was a time that Mahathir was mentioning that actually, if you have the idea, then be the leader. If you don't have the idea, just be the follower. So what happened to this management sector, in the social fund management sector? If somebody do not have the skill, he or she shall be trained. In order for, cannot be a liability in order for coming up with the proper results in Islamic social finance. Then absence of a smart system, definitely we know already that we do not have the smart system yet, and we need to go for like blockchain, it could be AI, it could be some big data. We do not have many things. So that's why we need to focus on those are the issues, that are the current concern issues. Ineffective strategic planning, we do not have good planning in many countries, but some countries yet, we should appreciate that. And poor database, well, as I mentioned earlier, we do not have the database. Even a single country, within the country also we do not have, forget about the regional or the international, even within the country, within the district also we do not have the proper database, how much wealth available, how many poor people, what categories of people are needy or the deserve or the entitlement for this particular support, and so on, we do not have. Lack of RD. it's a very poor research and development. Research is very minimum actually. So that's why we need to enrich the research and development in order for this moving forward the Islamic finance model with effective results. Poor transparency. We do not have the transparency. If you go to the public Islamic finance related institution, you ask any form of information, whatever public access information, also you cannot get the information. They're so non-transparent. So these are the aspects that we need to really polish up, and we need to really focus. And in order for us to, if we just conceptually talk about Islamic social finance, we will not achieve the results unless and until we really target, attempt to those kind of weaknesses, and we come up with the remedies. Then only we can expect auto aspect of the results of Islamic social finance. Now, how to face challenges in achieving the goals in reality? Effective awareness, I mentioned already. Strategy action plan, cooperation and partnership, government, private and individual and so on, NGOs. Smart management, I mentioned earlier. Compliance and audit. There should be even many countries whereby awqaf, zakat sectors are not properly audited even, and that is how the misuse and abuse take place. So that's why it is very important that there should be an audit, and internal audit and also the external audit, R&D and report. There should be reporting. Many countries whereby I can just the finger count this, not even 5% of the Islamic social fund or the countries are not this reporting, less than 5%. The more than 5%, I mean, 95% people are not even reporting. There should be annual report, proper report, and then it is publicly accessible. Many countries whereby the public fund like zakat fund, awqaf fund, Islamic social fund, whatever fund, we do not have any idea how much fund available, what they have done. It is not publicly accessible, unfortunately. So once they are publicly accessible, then at least there will be some sort of pros and cons, and that will also improve further the sector of Islamic social finance. Now, action plan, this is the last one. There are 12 action plans that I have identified here. Is just once we decide that we want to initiate with Islamic finance, social finance, there should be a proper, smart way of moving forward. First is the presentation of the note, concept note. Then what we are going to do, what is the objective, and what are the impact. So there should be concept note to be presented to the authority of IESWC. IESWC here, I mean the authority of the country or the government, local government, whosoever, wherever we need to affiliate to. So this is what I mean actually. Then the phase two is the presenting the revised version of the concept note to the authority, because of there should be some comments and so on. So once we revise, there will be perfect on. Then the phase 3, then we go for the sharing this particular concept or the strategy, with the those who are making the this standard and policy lawmaker and so on. So to convince them to establish the regulatory frameworks, central banks or any other regulatory authorities and so on. So they will come up with the standard policies and so on. Once the policies are in hand, we have the concept already in hand, then we go for the resolving with the financial authorities. Once now the financial authorities of the country, they will be convinced. Okay, we have the concept, we have the policies and then standard, at least the draft. Okay, and then we will be able to convince the authority. But if we see, without any concept, if we just talk with the authorities, I don't think authority, many countries, so there's another factor that authorities are not convinced because they don't have the idea. And then if we simply just talk from verbally, they will not be convinced. So that's why we need to have some preparation in hand, and then the authorities will be easily convinced. This is called hikmah. Even in the Quran also mentioned, Ud'u ila sabili rabbika bil hikmati wal maw'izati al hasana. The hikmah is another important part that actually we need to achieve our goal. Then the fifth is the sharing and resolving the strategic plan among the. Once we convince the authorities, financial authorities, or the government or whosoever. Okay, then we have to move further with the fifth phase. That is, we have to convince the financial authority, financial institutions. It's even though I mentioned financial institution, it's not financial institution only. It could be NGOs, individual, this business group, this corporate group, and so on. We need to convince them so that once they see that there is a concept, there is an impact, and it is standardized by policies, and it is regulated by the government authority, then all those these contributors will be convinced. Then phase 6 is the establishment of the policies, guidelines, and 5th year's action plan. Policies, guidelines, as I mentioned, the draft, this stage is going to be formalized. Okay, and 5 years strategic plan. 5 years could be 10 years or could be 3 years. Is up to the country. Then the phase 7 has establishment of the Sharia supervisory body is important because of, even though we have the guidelines, we have the what we call this the standard policies, but at the same time the Sharia advisory or supervisory body to ensure that every aspects of the operation or activities are in line with the Sharia principles. Otherwise, there could be if no Sharia advisory body, there could be some sort of the risk or the damage caused to the whole journey. Phase 8 is the establishment of the management and operation team, and that is what I mean actually skilled on. We need to train, go for the proper training, with the knowledge and skills. So this the phase 8. Then the phase 9. Now, once we have this the management and all other components being achieved, we go for the collection. Collection in as per the plan or the strategies and agreement. Then we go for the collection or the system, whatever it is. We go for the collection phase. And when you go for the collection phase, then we will also maintain the R&D and strategies. Research and development shall be continued. Maybe today we have decided, we have prepared a strategy or the structure, but it is challenged. The world desires something. We can come up with the different strategies. Now the phase 11 is the distribution. So once we go for the this R&D and strategies and these activities and all that, then we go for the distribution. Distribution here the two phases here. One is the application, the implementation. The whatever fund is collected will distribute for the application, the projects and so on. And whatever profit earned, we will distribute according to among the recipient according to the policy and guidelines. And the final one is the audit and report. There should be proper audit internal, as I mentioned earlier, and there should be reporting in published reporting, so that the report is accessible to the public at large. So with that, thank you very much. Then I will be happy to entertain your question, inshallah. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Professor Mohd. Billah. What you have thought about the current issues in Islamic social finance has been very enlightening and insightful for all of us. Okay, then I think let's get going to the Q&A session. Shall we, Professor? Is there anyone to ask something to the professor? The questions can be related to what he delivered today or his area of expertise.
Anything, don't worry. Those questions I just have written because of Mr. Gary asked me to write some question, but not necessarily that you confine within those questions. You can ask any other question, related question.
Oh, okay. Okay, then. Okay, the questions also can be to the other course, right, sir?
Yes, and if I could not answer all questions due to time constraint, please feel free. My email address is there, and you can just put in a very point form, and I will respond to you. No problem, inshallah.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Okay, then we have someone already raised their hand, sir. To Ashraf Sulaimi bin Alamshah, you can open your mic and ask the question to Professor Ma'asum Billah directly.
Yeah, thank you very much to Master of Ceremony. It's Ashraf Sulaimi here from Malaysia. So thank you, Prof, for your interesting presentation. So I have a simple question. There is a suggestion that we can use we the suggestion that we can use Sharia non-compliant income as an alternative in creating Waqf models. So what is your opinion about that suggestion, Prof? Thank you very much.
This very good question. That is what I mentioned earlier. Page number, I think the doubtful fund. Doubtful fund is just a minute. Just a minute. Okay, thank you very much. This is very interesting question. Last time, when we used to use, like, if somebody open an account in the, this in conventional bank and gain some profit based on riba, for example, in Malaysia we used to practice like that, riba, and what we can do with this riba fund, because of after some time the account holder realized that I don't want to eat the riba. I want to take my own money, and what the money is going to be done, because the money doesn't have any issue as per the Sharia, because it's the mechanism being adopted here. The one, if what do you call this? The riba is the mechanism adapted, which is not Sharia compliance, which is against the Sharia. That's why that this particular fund or the riba, the profit or the income made haram. You understand, right? So now, last time what happened, there was a fatwa that we will apply the principles of hillah, legal device, cleansing. What happened? We take the fund. We cannot just throw the fund into the drain. We take the fund and we use for some charitable purposes. So now, today, what happened? If we have that kind of, this fund, doubtful fund, somebody earned because of the riba. Somebody last time couldn't realize couldn't have the proper consciousness, this gain something out of the bribery, for example. Somebody maybe, for example, last time was a prostitute and earned a lot of money, but later on tawbah, this repentance and realize a good Muslimah and realize that I don't want to use that property for my own future. Actually, I want to do something with that property. So, and that there are some property which are which are abandoned. Maybe the owner is about 100 or 200 years ago, was exists, but after that no owner, and they are quite confused what to do with the property. Even the government also doesn't take the property, so it's a doubtful fund. Sometimes maybe you got something in the road, of course, lokta lakita, there is a provision, of course, you give to the recipient. But if you, in case you couldn't find, you got some property somewhere, but you can't get the owner after announcement and all that, nobody claim. What you can do with this fund? So this is all categories of fund. We can apply the principles of hillah, legal device. Legal device in the sense you do not eat, but what you can do, at least you facilitate. Take the property and discuss with the proper authority, and you just use this one for the charitable or humanitarian causes, no harm. Because of this, even though the person who has earned the money, he or she is not gaining any benefit, but this property is given for the cause of charity, some others, the humanitarian causes or the charitable activities. There is nothing wrong actually. That is what we mean actually here. This also can be abundant, and doubtful fund can also be part of the Islamic social fund in structure and contribute to the humanitarian causes. Thank you very much. Is this okay? Is it okay, sufficient for you?
Yes, Prof. Thank you very much for your explanation. Yeah.
But if you need further, as I mentioned to you, please just write to me, and then I will explain. I give a justification and further. Please, next
Inshallah,
question.
we do so. Thank you.
Okay.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah.
Thank you. Thank you for Professor Maksum for the answer, and for Mr. Ashraf for the questions. And now we already got someone here to raise their hands. To Mr. Abdul Fattah Akani Adigun, you may
Naam.
ask the professor directly. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I appreciate the Prof for that beautiful presentation. So my question is on the last question that Prof answered. I want to give an instance of someone who invested in a brewery where alcohol or intoxicant drinks have been produced. And there's many shares there that has run into millions of dollars. And he's a Muslim, and at this time he's able to understand that it's haram to invest in such. If the person withdraw from investment in that particular area, will he take care of the capital alone, or the profit he has accrued from that investment will also be used from his own dailies or to do other businesses?
Thank you very much, my brother. Thank you very much for your question. It's very interesting question, even that this is similar to even some of our friends who are working in the conventional bank, but whether they would like to continue with the conventional bank, and also that taking the salary from the bank which based on the riba, right? And there are some other sector whereby people are investing money or involving with the commercial activities which are not Sharia compliant. There are many like hotel and so on. There are many questions raised. So this is the similar type of question, and solution also the similar solution, whereby if any form of, let's say, if an investor invests $1 million, for example, to any sector without knowing, he or she is not aware about the haram and halal yet, okay, or maybe ignorant, whatever it is reason, So if invest the money and later on realize that actually I am earning money out of haram platform. So now in this particular situation, the capital is belong to him, but whatever profit earned out of this particular structure or platform or counter, that particular money is not halal for him. Because of this, he knows if he can establish that this is purely based on the riba or garar or gambling, whatever it is, non-Sharia compliant, then this particular property can be the part of the Islamic social fund, in the sense that if this particular fund, we cannot say Islamic yet, unless and until it is structured based on the Sharia principles. So this particular fund can be segregated, the profit segregated, or the gain, whatever gain segregated, and will be given to an authority or an organization or an NGO, for example, and advising them, please structure and the implement based on the Sharia principles. That is okay. So this is, in other words, to conclude again that if there is a doubtful gain, then the doubtful gain shall be segregated from the principal. Principal shall be returned back to investor, and whatever the profit or the income gain shall be given to a right authority as an amana. It has to be given to an amana, a trust or the party, actually the NGO or to group or whatever authority, and make sure that this is structured based on the Sharia principles for the humanitarian causes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much,
Thank you very much.
Professor Mahd, for the question, for the answer. I'm sorry. For the last of this first session of Q&A, we still have someone raise their hands. To Mr. Eko Saputra, SAE, you may ask the professor directly.
Okay, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Special for Professor. Thank you for the material your presentation, Professor. I'm very impressed. Introduce, my name is Eko from Ibnu Khaldun University, Bogor, Indonesia. I'm very proud to be able to learn from you, Professor. To be honest, I am very jealous of the condition of the Islamic community in your country, especially to comprehensive application of Islamic law in Saudi Arabia. In my country, Indonesia, although the majority is Muslim, but in public policy we have not been able to fully implement Islamic economics because there are still limited supporting regulation and we are still looking for a good model to apply. For example, the potentially for zakat in our country is 230 trillion rupiahs, but only about 12 trillion has only been realized. Likewise, the potential of wakaf reach 180 trillion rupiahs, but realization is so far from expectation. My question is how the Saudi Arabia can maximize the economic potential of Muslim, especially in your country, so that we can learn to be better and better. That's my question, Professor. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you very much. I would like to escape this particular answer because of this one is a government policy of Saudi Arabia, and I'm not in a position to answer publicly like that. Is it okay? Are you with me now? Hello?
Yes, we are with you.
In fact, this one involving the government policy. So far as I know that I will not give detail because this is the government policy issue. So that whatever they are doing, we support that. Actually, Saudi Arabia, we cannot say something we think actually. So now, whatever the government, Saudi government is doing on this particular, with the social fund like zakat, awqaf, and all, they have a huge fund, and they are, in fact, they are donating, they are helping other poor or needy countries actually, out of this social fund. This is all about that I could conclude here, but if there is no any other issue that I can say here, because there's a depend on the government policy. Is it okay, my brother?
Yes. Yes, it's okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for the answer, Professor Muhammad Maksum Billah.
Yes.
Now that's the end of our Q&A session for the first session of Q&A. Now we are going to the second session of Q&A. Shall I read the question from the chat room for you, sir?
Yes, please.
Yeah, okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. From Madiba Dari. I'm sorry if I mispronounce your name. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. This is Madiba Dari from the Gambia. I'm student of University Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta. I want to know how does the Islamic banking gain finance so as to pay their employees since they did not engage in interest? If so, where did they gain funds that keeps them going? And that's the first question, Professor. The second one is from Ahsin Aligori. The question is how the social Islamic fund able to mix commercial Islamic finance on practice? That's the second one, sir.
Actually, Mr. Fatih, can you just repeat the first question because because the sound is not clear. Actually, please repeat first question.
Okay, I will do. She said that I want to know how does the Islamic banking gain finance so as they to pay their employees since they did not engage in interest. If so, where did they gain funds that keeps them going?
Okay, in other words, can I repeat the question because the sound is not coming very broken actually.
Okay.
The Islamic bank, how Islamic bank get this funding? Is it, you mean that?
Yes, sir.
Of course, this Islamic bank is gaining getting the funds from the customers who are the account holder who is the opening the account and they're reserving the money, that is their source actually. It's not from any other source. It's based on the customer's banker relationship. I think this is not the question, exact question. I think question is something else, I believe.
The question is, where did they gain money for the surplus thing? I mean, like, how do they gain money to pay their employees like that? Something.
Oh, okay. Now it's clear. Means
Yeah.
how the Islamic bank is going to get the money to pay the employees' salary.
Yeah, something like that, sir.
Okay, good. So now here is the same as other conventional bank actually, because the Islamic bank will have their own income based on the principles of Sharia and the al-ujra. Ujra means the service charge, or ju'ala service charge, and also there is a investment account based on the principles of musharaka, or could be modaraba, then ijara, the financing, debt financing, the ijara, etc. So in every transaction, every activities, there is a service charge, there is an income for the bank. So that is the bank's income, and bank is paying the employees and for the establishment, for the operation, marketing, everything, the system and so on, so that the bank will segregate the operational cost, okay, out of that income. And this operational cost is going to be the part, the salary is part of this operational cost. Now, whatever profit earned by the bank is subject to the deduction of zakat, deduction of zakat. So after deduction of zakat, whatever left, that is the net income can be distributed among the shareholders of the bank. Is that clear?
Yeah, thank you for the answer.
Okay. But what you can do, if sometimes, because the sound is not very disturbing sound, if it's still not clear, please send me an email, then I will reply to you, no problem.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor. Now we are going to the next question. The next question is from Ahsin Aligori. How the Social Islamic Fund able to mix commercial Islamic finance on practice?
Okay, thank you very much. Can I repeat the question? That how Islamic Social Fund can be commercialized? Is this what you mean?
To Mr. Ahsin Aligori, can you explain more to us about the question?
This question is like this: how Islamic Social Fund can be commercialized? Is this you mean?
No, I don't think so, sir. How to Social Islamic Fund able to mix commercial Islamic finance on practice? How do they mix the commercial thing to the Islamic fund?
Okay, very good. Now, for example, if it is possible, for example, if there is the Sukuk al-Awqaf, for example, there is a fund raised based on the structure of Sukuk al-Awqaf, and that particular fund is given for the purpose of building something or for charitable activities and so on, right? So now, if that particular project is, let's say, the shop, for example, or a school, or let's say the hospital, and this particular hospital is going to be built out of that particular fund, that is the charitable fund, the social fund, okay? Now, the hospital will gain income, and that particular income is going to be distributed according to the whatever the terms of the agreement. So in other words, there should be the provision that this the fund is given away, not 100% like the absolute awqaf. If absolute awqaf, the donor cannot expect any commercial value. But if the donor said that actually I am giving this particular money, number one, as awqaf, for example, sorry, the particular money, there are three option actually. Particular money, as I want to retain my principal, but you can make profit or you can commercialize and you can use for the humanitarian causes. That is one option. Second option here, that I am giving away this particular fund, I do not expect anything, any return out of this. However, the person who is receiving the money, for example, the trustee will use this money for the commercial purposes. Commercial, that's, for example, buy a land or establish a hotel or whatever it is, school, and commercialize, gain profit. Out of that profit, the profit is going to be not returned back to the donor. The profit is going to be utilized for the humanitarian causes. So in other words, even the donated property or the awqaf property, but it is commercialized by the trustee, for example, okay, commercial by trustee, and trustee will the commercialize and gain the profit. That profit will be used for the commercial, the humanitarian causes. So these two options. Third option here, the crowdfunding, whereby the donor is or the investor is investing the money, certain amount of money, with a condition that actually I am giving the money away, but I will not expect the money from you, but whatever profit in this partial profit will go to the donor and partial profit will go to the humanitarian causes. So these three ways that the Islamic Social Fund can be commercialized and the benefit can be distributed accordingly.
Thank you very much, Professor, for your answer. We still have one last question for this second session of Q&A. It comes from Abdul Rahim Abdul Wahid. Assalamualaikum. In a way, in a country where value-added tax is deducted from all services, how is it possible to apply global SSI?
Okay. It is possible. It is possible because of, but we have to still check that value-added tax that being deducted. What is the purpose? And what is the policy of the government or the institution? So if it is for the humanitarian causes, purely for the humanitarian causes generally, then it is possible to apply for this ISF. Actually, it is possible. But if it is for specific purposes that they are deducting for, then of course it is not possible.
Okay, thank you for your answer, Professor. I believe what you have explained has answered all the questions very clearly. Is there still anyone want to ask something? I repeat, is there anyone who still want to ask something to Professor Ma'asum Billah?
Yes. So please let them, if they have further questions, they can email me in a point form, not in detail, point form, and I will answer to them, inshallah.
Okay. Okay, Professor, thank you. Now, I think that's all for today's Q&A session. Thank you for all answers, Professor.